Imagine that you're having just another normal day at school, then something happens that you never in your life could have prepared for. A school shooter has just entered the building, and it just happens to be a fellow student. The student knows all the areas that are considered safe and that students are instructed to get into. He enters the room and draws his weapon. Unknown to him or any of the other students for that matter, the teacher is armed and draws their sidearm. The teacher is now faced with the choice of ending it all or losing their life along with the rest of the class. This is a very controversial topic right now, and schools are looking for an answer. I sometimes fear that this might happen in my school because I feel as if we're underprotected. If teachers were armed, they could better protect students and themselves from school shooters. I've handled guns practically all my life. I know and respect what a gun can do, but also fear what it can do if placed into the wrong hands. First, I'm going to tell you about what happens during a school shooting. Next, I'll tell you other forms of protection, and finally, I will tell you about how arming teachers could save many lives if they must use their sidearms to discourage future shooters from attempting to take innocent lives. When the first shot is fired inside of a school, the first reaction will be panic. No matter what has been taught, unless the situation is exactly how you practice it, you will not know exactly what to do. When students panic, the unthinkable could happen. If a student gets into an area that is not safe, they could potentially lose their life. Once students get into their zones, if the teacher or coach does not feel that they are safe, they may have to make the ultimate sacrifice and give their life to save the students. The first instinct for an unarmed school is to call the police or even a security guard that is on campus. However, the average time for law enforcement to arrive is 15 minutes. That is precious minutes of life slipping out of reach. All of this could have been prevented if we had taken different steps of protection. I'm not saying that only a gun will protect you against a school shooting, but it may be the most effective. Other forms are great, but may still leave families waiting on their children to come home. There are devices such as the Barracuda door wedge that is a multifunctional door lock. Another method that schools near us have used currently is the bulletproof bunkers. The superintendent of the school wanted to test these structures before trusting them to protect his students, so he went inside while they shot at the container. The problem arises next is that buildings have multiple windows or large windows. This is where electronic roll-down doors would prevent intruders from entering. All of these ideas are great, but why haven't we tried fighting fire with fire? Countless dollars and lives could have been saved when comparing the cost and effectiveness of having armed teachers in the building. It is hard to even begin to comprehend what goes through the mind of someone who would do something like this, but it would be harder for the shooter to consider armed teachers. This also has the potential to end the school shooting early before any further damage is inflicted, which means that there might be less death and injuries during the attack. Teachers will have to be extensively trained, and I believe that they should have to refresh their training regularly. Teachers that carry sidearms will put a huge dent in the amount of damage of school shootings. Today we have discussed what happens during a school shooting if no one besides the gunman is armed. Then we discussed some of the less effective forms of protection. And finally, we discussed the effect of teachers being armed against the shooter. Armed teachers would end school shootings more effectively than law enforcement because they can read the body language of students and they are already in the building. Armed teachers will be a breakthrough in school protection. Because of all this, students will feel safer and less afraid of coming to school when they see school shootings occurring.